Talk me through the writing process. Where did the idea come from? How long did it take to get from inception to screen?
All right, respect everybody, thank you. I'm glad you guys were feeling it. So I would say the idea probably started bubbling about 3 or so years before we shot it, or before, somewhere in there. It's in a 3-year, 4-year vibe. The thing, when you make a film, there's worlds you want to kind of tell and show, like the world of track and field and just Jamaica in a deeper sense and a more nuanced sense. But you also have to like create characters that have ultimately pieces of yourself. So the Akeem's character being away from his mom and trying to get back to her, I had lost my mom and I was, trying to process those emotions and think, what if I could get back to her? If I did something, what if I could see her again? And then it led me to thinking about this situation across all over the world, but definitely in Jamaica and the Caribbean, this what them call a barrel picnic kind of situation where you're a child that has, one parent or both parents away working somewhere in the US, in Canada, the UK, working, sending back money to support the family. And that's seen, it's a blessing at the same time because you're having support. In a way, it's like, it's seen as a positive thing in a way, but then there's this whole separation of the family that is happening, And absolutely. So I really wanted to address that because it's so normal. It's so normalized, rather. Not very normal, but so normalized, right? So there was that. And then also just track and field. And I had been working, shooting a lot of commercial stuff with Puma, other folks, working with Usain Bolt. I had the opportunity to film him quite a bit and get some insight. About 3 years I work for that little 30 minutes. That 30 minutes that he's sitting there, that we got him to film, is about 3 years of just delivering. And that was his first day, that day with Bolt, because he was training for the Olympics, right? That we had to get him at 1.5 hours to shoot everything. And that was his first day shooting anything on a film, because this is his first film, right? So
no pressure.
No pressure. Your first day, your first scene, and it's you on board. So so it's been a few years, man. And then, but to be honest, I'd been developing it and then gotten to a certain point, and then when I connected with Rob, a few years into it, and me and him really worked together on bringing the final version of the script across the finish line, and Rob really energized the mission to get it done. And it's interesting, and to all filmmakers out there who want to do this, like, it seems so sometimes hard and impossible, but the moment you actually finish that script and the moment you really put in that time, it comes, man. You take one step towards something, it takes 2 steps towards you. So, this took a while to come together, but once me and you linked, and once we locked that script, we were shooting very soon after, and,
4 months.
Yeah, probably 4 months after. Wow. So, it's just, we put all the energy and the work.
Spent all of December 2015 writing the script, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then
by spring, summer,
Will and Jada came on. I sent it to a bunch of production companies in LA, and they came on board in March, and then we started shooting in July. And pre-production and all started in June. And we need to say thank you to Natalie Thompson, our co-producer, who's in the building. Cinecom Productions, who made it all happen in Jamaica. So thank you to Natalie, wherever you are in here.
I was going to come to you after Dale, but seeing as you picked it up there, I'll go to that. No, not even in a bad way. So talk to me about how difficult it is. Talk to me about first the process of getting films funded, and then secondly, how difficult it is for Caribbean cinema in particular.
Well, I mean, right now, Caribbean cinema, everyone's just trying to figure it out, right? And part of what when Storm and I first just became friends, before we even started working on Sprinter, we wanted to try and create a new wave of cinema in the same way that, the Scandinavians got to have one and Brazil had one. We wanted to do that for the Caribbean. And there were no models really in place for people, because when you start to process and package a film, they automatically, one of the first things they want are comps. And one of the comps that people would always say is, oh, you've got Cool Runnings, but Cool Runnings has no Jamaicans in it, really, And it's a Disney film. That was a Disney film. So it's way easier to get it out into the world. Yeah. And so we knew that this was something we had to, I had to put it on my back, and I had just formed my company to start doing exactly this. And I had Richard Jefferson, who's our executive producer. He came on board and he's like, I've got your first half of the budget, just figure out the rest.
Shout out to a man like Richard.
Shout out to Richard Jefferson. So, and you know, part of the thing when you creating a package, he was already on Instagram, and we knew we had him locked in, and he had like 100,000, 90,000, 100,000 followers at the time. Richard was on board, and then me, and knowing that I had Usain, locked in, and Puma was paying for a part of it as well. With every uniform that you guys see in that film was paid for by Puma. So thanks to Puma for that.
Yeah.
And
they helped to make the situation.
And they made Bolt. They got Bolt. So that was a package. So me walking around to industries, Hollywood companies saying, "I've got a package. This is my package." And Usain is right before he gets his third go at the Olympics for the triple treble. So it was, the conversation was still hard. I mean, it was still like there were a lot of people that still said no, they're not going to finance this film because we weren't putting any big names in front of the camera. Even with Will and Jada behind it, it still wasn't enough. So we still had to bootstrap it. So, another one of our executive producers, Zachary Harding, came on board with Joseph Bodanovich, and they helped to make that happen. So it was great to have a Jamaican finance the film. That was huge to have money from Jamaica actually put into the film. So but it was a fight. But we got, I was determined, to make this, something that we could be here today to see and create. So
congratulations, man. Coming to you, Dale. Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you. It's all right.
Yeah, just talk right here.
Hello.
What I was going to say to you, there was an uncanny, resemblance between Akeem's character and some of your own experiences. If you don't mind talking to us a little bit about that.
Oh, yes. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming here. I want to thank the BFI Film Festival for having me here. And I grew up with my grandparents. My grandmother from my mother's side, my grandmother from my father's side. So I am a barrel pitney in living colors. England, I came here on Tuesday, which is very weird, but my mother is in the stands today, in the audience. Can you stand, please?
Mommy.
Yes, Mom, can you remain standing, please? So, while I was on the flight Tuesday, it was a 9-hour flight. I did not sleep. When I went to the airport, I went on my phone. I was scared. The person telling me to put away my phone, start getting anxious. And then when I come out the airport, I saw her standing at the door. That was the first time I ever saw her for 17 years. Yeah. So to be honest, this film, I've watched it. This is my second time watching the film, but this one kind of hits closer to home. As you can see, she sat at the top and I sat down here because I didn't want to be beside her because I know that she probably have a little onion, so it probably come up. Yeah. So I don't sit down near her. My aunt is actually beside her. She's another mother figure in my family. My manager is here, Fern. She's also another mother figure in my family. And I have Aunt Natalie here. Yes, the couch at Cinicom was very comfortable for all those hard training I had to do for Sprinter. But I'm really happy for the opportunity that I'm being given for Sprinter. Sprinter made me meet my father for the first time. He came back to Jamaica when I was 8 years old, and my mother left Jamaica when I was 5 years old. And if it wasn't for Sprinter, I wouldn't have met both of them. So Sprinter basically reunited my family. Yeah, so I'm super happy for this opportunity, and I hope I get more opportunities, to be honest.
Really hope so too.
Yeah, and what else? I don't know if it's.
I mean, did you draw on your own experiences for the role? How did it feel to star in your first film? Was it pressure?
Anybody that knows me,
Yeah.
pressure. I sort of like it. I don't work well in it all the time. I'm somebody that, I wouldn't say I'm short-tempered, but there were times in this film when it was really hard because, as you can see, I was the one doing the running. And the first day, the spikes that I got, I told them the wrong size. So it was I ran in a size 8, and I was supposed to wear a 10. And we needed Bolt. We only had Bolt for 30 minutes, so I had to suck it up. Yes, and I did that with about three bottles of water. So yes, this film was very hard to shoot because imagine somebody, Storm tricked me once. The first day of regular filming, we were running at 200 meters, and Storm was like, yes, so we don't have enough time to do this, so we need one take. So I need you to blow this one out of the park. People, believe me, I have never run a 200 meters of fast in my life. My faint, my vomit. We have to break for like 30 minutes, and then he came and he said, you were running too fast for the camera, so. So we had to do it again. So every day when I went home from the filming, I constantly heard Storm voice in my head. Okay, that's good. Back to 1. Really good. But do it again. So this is probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I put my heart and soul in this film, to be honest. You have any more?
You used to sprint though, right?
Yes, I went to the greatest institution in the world. I went to Kingston College. Yes. Yes, it was very hard for me to beat a Kingston College person in the video. As you saw, I spoke to Storm. I said, listen to me. If I am going to come first, please put a Kingston College person to come second. Yes, because they know. Yes, the motto is the brave may fall, but never heal. Fortis scatter, etc., non-protest. Anybody catch this on video, I need somebody to send me on my Instagram so I can post it.
For our non-Jamaicans in the audience, a lot of you may not realize how big a deal school is in Jamaica, how much beef it is. I know in Britain we have a lot of stereotypes of Jamaican children because of some of this process. You know, Jamaicans leaving the Caribbean to try and better their families becomes here that you sort of stereotype of broken families and single-parent families as if people love their children less rather than they were traveling to try and better them. Similarly with education, just because you're saying that about Kingston College, a lot of the people who don't know Jamaica that well may not know what a big deal the rivalry between the schools is.
It's crazy,
yeah.
Seeing that we're speaking about education, I finished my degree. I went to the University of the West Indies. No, I have a bachelor's degree in international relations.
Oh?
You have to go into the real world now.
No, I'm all.
This is my last question for you, Dale. I'm going to go to Gaika and come back to you. I'm sure the ladies will kill me if I don't ask. Dale, are you in a situation? You've just announced you've got a degree. You're a star.
I love
of a
my
film.
mother.
Cool. Yes. Cool. Great. All right. Gaika.
Hello.
How did you come to be involved in the film?
I fell into this, and I was massively honoured to be part of it. I was performing at a Caribbean film festival. My background is in music video and graphic design and art, and I kind of started making music. So we got this weird email saying, oh, do you want to come and perform at this Caribbean film festival in Miami? I felt like sometimes you get emails like that which don't go through your agent, they kind of just come directly to you. We were really excited to go and do it. The manager I had at the time, we were just like, all right, however much money it is, we'll make it work, we'll go and do it. And then we went and played the festival, which was great. It was a film festival, but it was mainly partying. And in that, I kind of ran into Storm and Rob, we started talking, and I just felt like I had to be part of this. I kind of like hassled them and kept sending them music because I really wanted to be part of it because I read the premise and understood some of what the film was about. I used to run track and field in school. The thing that really stuck out to me in the film was that thing of like the overriding pressure from Jamaican parents, whether they're here, whether they're in Jamaica, it's like, yeah, it's, but win though, you know? And I kind of lived under that, and that's what spoke to me. And so I just had to be part of it.
Mm-hmm. I want to touch on that a little bit with your family, because, you know, Gaika is a musician, but, you know, you got 3 illustrious brothers. Do you think a lot of that was due to that sort of, you know...
Yeah, 100%. Like,
pressure from the
parents. You know what I
parents.
mean? It was like carrot and stick, but not that much carrot. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so my brother's a film director. I've got 2 brothers. One brother's a film director, the other one is a research scientist. And I guess we just always felt that pressure to better ourselves and to prove something, which is, I guess, really resonates with me. The part in the film where he just kind of zones everything out and runs his own race. You know, I was nearly in tears at that moment, because it's like, that's how we feel, you know, that's how it feels. So I just think this is an incredible movie, and I just think it's going to do really well.
I hope so, I hope so. Before we open up to the audience, just, you know, Jamaica is a cultural powerhouse already in music, sort of unparalleled, and in athletics. What do you think it will take, open to everyone, but to you starting first, Rob, to make that transition in film?
For Jamaica or just?
Yeah, for Jamaica. Well, for the wider Caribbean, but, you know, sorry.
Yeah, I think really what needs to happen, we need to have a couple of paradigm-shifting films, and we need to have people that are willing to disrupt the status quo, because when you, again, you know, I had Will and Jada willing to stump for me and said, any meeting you walk into, feel free to tell them that we're going to be promoting this film when the time comes. And I still had distributors that were like, well, we'll see, like, when the film comes out or whatever. And so if that's happening in North America, you can only imagine what happens in the greater marketplace. Mm-hmm. And so with, you know, my background, you know, prior to making this film, I worked in film distribution. And so I actually have contacts in every single country in the world. And so for me, it's like literally just stumping and going country to country and having people working with me to take the film and making sure that it gets to all the English language territories first, then the Spanish and the French, and just making sure that we're getting to all these places, and having people like Gaika and yourself who are willing to champion the cause and, you know, show that, you know, there's a place for these types of films, and that, you know, there's a need for the voice of Caribbean people that has not been exposed on film, outside of, you know, a handful of films that
like 40 years old now, most.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like we have The Harder They Come. There's, you know, Shatas is one film, but for us, we really thought one of the things that Storm and I talked about was that we wanted to change the narrative, not only about Caribbean film, but just about black film, and just, you know, the narratives that we see. Yeah. You know, typically what we see is a mom that's at home staying with the kid while, you know, who knows where the father is, right? And so that's one of the things we kind of flip in this film, and we have the father that's the one really trying to hold it all together, because he actually loves his wife and he's being faithful to his wife, and, you know, she's abroad, right? And that we don't see that on film. And so we really want to change the narrative around just, you know, the diaspora's experience and what we look like on film. Mm-hmm. And so this is part of that process, and we're just going to keep knocking on that door.
And I wanted to add to that. Please, if you're taking pictures and posting or talking about the film, please hashtag Sprinter the film, because whenever you do that and you put that up, it just helps to prove the numbers. And that's a lot of what we're doing is, we know the audience is there. We know they exist. We know that they're tapped in to everything. We know how much Caribbean culture is influencing and dead center in the middle of just popular culture across the world. I think some of the issues are not everyone is aware of, like, there's no turnkey situation necessarily for distribution that, you know, you're gonna hit all the right places. But we're trying to make that paradigm shifting moment with this film, right? And trying to create those pathways for the next set of films coming. You know what I mean? Because the audience is there, like, it's there. We just have to kind of prove it and show it. And
I mean, we definitely want to be, we've always talked about wanting to be bridge builders.
Yeah.
In the sense that, you know, it's not really about us getting to the other side, it's really about creating a path that the people that come after us can have.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're really trying to do.
Yeah, and just FYI, there's a number of amazingly talented directors and filmmakers across the region emerging right now. Mm-hmm. Like, this film was doing labs alongside other directors, developing features. Much of them have been made, and are starting to come out. So like it is a.
Is there anything you want us to check out, or any names in particular?
Yeah, definitely. You should check out Cargo by Kareem Mortimer. You should check out Play the Devil by Maria Govan. There's more films coming out of Trinidad. The film festival we met at was called the Third Horizon Film Festival. It's a great film festival. It's been in Miami for the last 3 years.
And now they're touring,
it's important.
so if you follow Third Horizon online, you can find all the anything that's Caribbean related with music, art, and film. They basically are going to keep you tapped in to that that world and that universe. So.
Cool. And what's next for all you guys? Before we're going to open up to them now.
Well, I'll talk. We have a few things.
Film will be out in Jamaica next month, and then U.S. in April. We have a U.S. distribution theatrical deal, so we do have somebody that's like come on board to release a film in the U.S. So we're excited about that. Filmrise, and then.
Well, we would love also to have that situation here. We feel like there's a lot more people here that want to see this film. Are going to want to see this film after today, so we want to be back with that. We have new projects coming. There's a bunch of projects Rob and I are working on together. Separately, I am adapting Marlon James's John Crow's Devil, which is his first novel. Beautiful. So I'm working on that, and we're developing a few projects.
Couple TV series.
Stuff, yeah.
That'll be coming out this year. So.
By yourself there.
Well, now it's time for me to focus on myself. I was in school for a while, so my mother always wanted a degree. So now that I've done your part, now it's time for me to chase my dream. I didn't always want to be an actor, but I like it.
We hadn't noticed.
And now it's time for me to really make a decision. I'm 22 years old. I'm a man now, so I just need to do more movies.
Good. By yourself, Gaika. We got new records to look forward to.
Yeah, I'm putting out new music like next week, and later on in the year, touring around, just making more installation work, and hopefully doing.
And
more.
you just had a film at Sundance.
Yeah.
It just casually.
I had some music in a film at Sundance, and I feel like I want to do much more of this stuff.
Yeah. Cool. Beautiful.
I also want to say with Gaika, we had met at Third Horizon, but I had known about your work, and I think I'd read about it in a Guardian or something, and I remember seeing the artwork with the deconstructed sneaker, and I just thought that was mad. So actually, when I came to Third Horizon, I was like, yo, I know this brother, So it kind of, that is like, it's interesting because there was also an energy there, and it led to something great, you know what I mean?
Beautiful.
I mean, the thing that you want when you're casting in a film, I mean, from the producer side, and I'll let Storm do his side because I know he has a very different take, but you want somebody that, one, has talent, has a reach, has an audience, if it's possible, and has desire. And David had a desire. He read the script, and, I mean, he called me, he emailed me, he was like, I want this role. Wow. And, it's always tough because you want a film to be able to be released without getting destroyed on Black or Jamaican Twitter. Yes. And so, the accent was something we were very, very key on. And Storm had been public in the Jamaican press about, wanting to only use Jamaican actors or just, being authentic to the creative process. And when we were looking at David, I said, hey, he wants it. We might have to do some work in post, but, he wants it, and he's got the chops. And, a lot of people don't know he went to Yale, School of Drama. So he's a real, he's a comedian to most people, but he actually started out in, drama. And if you look at his IMDb list, there's a lot of dramas on there. So.
Wow. Yeah, man. As Rob said, I try not to make too much major statements about how I want to do a thing, but I definitely want to keep language as genuine as possible, and it was probably one of my biggest concerns. And I definitely did take after take. I definitely had him in sound, in post. I did not. Thankfully, he took it, and he was into it, and he was just as determined to deliver his best as possible. So we did it. We spent a lot of time trying to get
every
it right.
night, we had took the line, the script, and I wrote it out phonetically. I was like, this is how you pronounce it.
There have been some bad Jamaican
and we had a vocal
over
coach.
years.
We had Faye Ellington, who's a star in Jamaica. She was also a vocal coach. Dennis Titus, who plays the dad, also was with him. So we had people working with him around the clock to make sure that he was dialed into the culture and the scene.
Good. Did your
And he was amazing on set, because whenever this guy was like having his tough times, he would always tell a joke. David was there, just keep morale high. So we have to salute David Allen Greer.
Kept the whole crew going.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's amazing.
I grew up in a family that was really Rasta, kind of hippies, kind of different, pioneering. I mean, just to be real, in the 70s. And so Rasta was always kind of my kind of understanding. And for me, as a filmmaker, it's my second feature, and even in my first feature, there's relevance. Like the role that Rasta play as a place of consciousness and enlightenment, and how much youths I know that could have gone a certain way, but Rasta make them hold a certain strength and positivity and find a way through. That from a storytelling perspective, I always feel like, not always, but in this instance, like that's your characters going on their journey, and they need to go to this place to kind of renew and get a groundation. And in many ways, you can see that if you pay attention, the father has his locks in the beginning. When you come back 10 years later, them gone, right?
The son makes
and
the comment about that.
Right, he makes a comment about it. And then you can see, even when him fall down, is Rasta kind of helping to bring him back up. You understand? And the son seeing the father, you understand? So I know what you're saying, but that is kind of what it means to me, and kind of why it works its way into my work.
And also it's something that's uniquely Jamaican. Not that it hasn't spread beyond Jamaica, but it's something that's kind of uniquely...
It is. I always want those scenes to be longer, trust me. I know me alone.
In the first cut, it was much longer.
It was long.
You've got to move the narrative along. But I mean, I suppose this, we'll come back to that next question there, but I suppose this brings up the challenge of representation. Every time there's a black film, it's almost like you bear the burden, or a film with black people in it, you bear the burden of correcting every wrong on cinema, or every nuance, or every historical detail, rather than just being able to be a piece of art. If the badness was a little bit more played up, people would have said, it's playing into the stereotype. And I feel like you really got the balance really, really strong now.
It's amazing. One of the things I loved the most about the film was Jermaine's character, and the fact that, what he's saying is right. The advice that he gives to his brother, and how he turns his life around out of, he doesn't die, he doesn't get shot, he goes to prison, he learns his lesson, and
which happens every day too.
Happens every day, but that's never what's reported. So I just thought that was such a positive thing about the film, and it was shining a light on the kind of economics of athletics. This is something that people don't know. And it just lays it out in the film. I just thought it was incredible.
Yeah, and you know what, to follow on that, what I want to say is, you find in a lot of films about people of color, the stakes have to be super high. If it's not life and death, if it's not, I have to win this race, or my family is gonna die, or I have to, it's like, some people, they're so used to thinking those are the stakes that people of color are living with all the time. Sure. Life or death every day. So you see a film where it's like, the kid just wants to make the team. It's like, is it that, okay, But the reality is, we're just showing a family, a modern family, dealing with normal things. They want to make the team. They want to do good. They get a little popular, go to him head, him start going on with foolishness. You know what I mean? Like, the simple thing, strangely enough, is what's slightly more radical.
No, I
you understand what I'm saying? And also what we wanted to do is, people don't turn their backs on each other. The father dropped down, there might be a fallout, but when they need each other, they come back. You understand? They're not going to leave the son in jail. So he might disagree with, how the son was making his money, and he has that little resistance, but he's like, you know what? And my son that. Go and get him out. And you see everyone kind of turning back in, and that is, I think, just as relevant, just as real, and what we, I think is important.
Absolutely. I will come to you, I promise. I just want to add one point to what Storm just said. When I was last in Jamaica, I shot a short documentary with Marlon James, and he said something really interesting about being a middle-class Jamaican. He said, no one's interested in us. We're the boring class. We're not, we're not the plantocracy elite, and no one's shooting us. So no one really cares about what's going on. And I think, for me, when I go back every year, I always try to say to even the youth that I work with here, like, you don't understand, life for middle-class Jamaicans is like life for middle-class people everywhere. So a lot of the stories that have been told about Jamaica are only focusing on sort of the bottom 5–10% of the society, and that's problematic in its own way.
I basically have just been reading projects for them. I was originally working with them on a docu-reality series that has now basically become their Instagram accounts, but they were trying to figure out what that would be and how to basically have the whole family kind of just like, how would that conversation happen as far as just like sharing their stories. And so they had a proof of concept video for Will's oldest son, Trey, and I was giving notes on that. And then occasionally they'd ask me for distribution help on other films and other projects. And then it was about March, and I finished one of the projects for them, sent it over, and one of the producers, Jamal Watson, just said, hey, what are you working on? I was like, well, you know, my friend Storm and I, we just finished up this project, and we're just shopping it right now. And I sent it to them, and he called the very next day, and the hardest thing in Hollywood is to get people to read scripts. And so she read it and called the next day and was basically like, I want to do this. Like, we got to figure out a way to make this film. And so that's literally how it happened. That never happens. Like, so it was just timing and, you know, luck that I just had been like plugging away and, you know, working for free for them for a while. and they just turned around and then they came and said, hey, what are you doing? So, yeah.
It's always, you know, you're a writer, bridging the writing thing, I know how it goes. It's rough. To me, it's become like almost, in a way, almost the hardest part because it's so important. It's all consuming, and it's all work that you're putting in up front to try to make it happen. I have to say that, you know, for me, I just kind of have a get it done attitude. You know what I mean? I'm gonna make it happen, even when it does get rough, as you know, Rob can tell you, and I do have distractions and so on. But I think coming out of even my first film, Better Mus Come, it's like I just felt like people are like, yes, it's great, but I'm like, yo, there's so much to be told, there's so much to make happen. And I was just on it, and I got very lucky, you know what I mean? And I think when you are dedicated to something and you are putting in the work, you kind of create that energy shift where opportunities come. Because I had come up with this story before I started to get all this work filming athletes. You know, it's not like I was filming athletes and like, damn, I need to make a movie about these athletes. It's like, no, I want to make this. And then the opportunity with Puma came up, and the next thing you know, I'm filming bold training, doing all this stuff. I'm filming all these high school kids. I'm going to Cuba to film the national track team there. And it just kind of like, and then that started the alignment of like, I know I'm going to get him into the film somehow. I just have to figure it out. So those feelings are normal. Just keep pushing through. Just keep pushing through. And also, you know, the world needs content. I mean, just to where it is at right now, there's so much, you know, it's not even like 5-10 years ago, like people need to be creating new stuff. There's money for it. Yeah, you just push through. Just get there. Don't worry. You just have to get there. Every writer has felt like how you feel sometimes.
Yeah,
you know?
and don't be afraid to ask for help. I mean,
yes,
because Storm and I were actually friends way before he asked me to like help him produce this project.
That's
like,
true. Yeah.
And I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a challenge, and editing is really where the film is made. I mean, you can make different films, you know, depending on how you approach it. And having all these partners involved, we did post-production in Overbrook's office, and you know, Will and Jada's production company's office, in the Sony lot, you know, in LA, which was very interesting to kind of like show up in one of these studio lots with like the water fountain and then someone walking, and you know, it was a trip, you know, it's something you always wanted to get to, and then I kind of had to quickly get over the wow of that and make sure if I don't hold on to like the narrative I really see, it can go many places, because I'm the only one who really sees it from my perspective. You know, the producers, a lot of the producers come in on that side are, you know, from an American point of view, and they have certain Jamaican touch points and so on. So it was a bit of a challenge. It was a bit of a fight. We had a version of this that was supposedly the final version that I was not happy with. And we did have, it caused definitely enough stress. Thankfully though, I always had one producer that had my back, right? Because there's a bunch of producers, but this brethren right here really had my back. You know, we shared a similar vision, but also he respected my vision. So even if we had back and forth about something, he would respect where I was coming from. And I'm a director who takes, I know, if I hear a good idea, I'm gonna take it. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to, I don't think my ideas are all the best, right? But thankfully he was able to fight, and there was a lot of fights, and ultimately we won. Yeah.
And that's normal.
Yeah, but let me tell you something. Sorry, I just have to say it.
No, go on.
There was a version of this we wanted to have that for 6 months them a fight me. Why this scene have to be in there? Why this? I'm like, you don't understand. You might not think it's relevant. It's everything, you know what I mean? And then basically we had a version the reaction we were getting to that version was not the reaction we really wanted. And ultimately, certain voices that were heavily respected pointed out some of the issues, and they were the exact things that we were fighting for. And then said, all those things you wanted to do, you guys can do them. We have 3 days. So what we could have done in like 6 months, we rallied back and did in like 3 days and made the film that you see here.
I flew to Jamaica and we basically
With some guerrilla stuff,
in his,
trust me.
I spent December of 2015 in his basement working on the script, and then I flew to Jamaica in April of last year.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not happy with this cut. You're not happy.
Yeah.
We're just gonna cut our version of the film.
Yeah.
And we're gonna figure this out.
Yeah.
And then basically we
yeah.
did it in a weekend, and then we flew back and we just submitted it and said,
Yeah.
this is the film.
And also the audience has helped, because from out the gate with our screenings, the audience reaction has just been like, so any questions that they've had, the audience reaction always just lays it at rest. So,
And when we premiered, we won at American Black Film Festival. We won the Audience Award, the Best Director Award, and the Jury Award.
So with Bolt, I did write a script. I had dialogue for him. I had his scenes scripted out about what I wanted him to say from my research about how he would approach describing the 200. But I've worked with him enough, and I've been on set with him enough, and I've seen him do scripted stuff for commercials and so on. So I kind of know, I can see, if it's too scripted and rigid and he's not in the mood, it's gonna kind of go. The way you have to work, as a director, you always have to figure out how to get what you need out of each talent. I knew that he probably needed a general idea of the description, and then to kind of let him wing it, and just to do as much takes as we could, winging it, telling that story, and then in post, I was able to kind of create the perfect story. So it was in the script, but on set, he wasn't like in the script. He was just talking to me. And the thing is, I knew we didn't have much time, and I knew that the 200 was Bolt's favorite race, right? And that's the race that he's describing. And I've seen him break down the race before. You know what I mean? He's done it before. So I know it's something he knows off the bat. So it's not like I chose something easy, but I chose what I knew not only worked for the story, but I knew he could run through and be comfortable with. And that's pretty much what happened, and I think that's why it worked.
But Bolt was originally a 400-meter runner as well, right? Was that the nod in there?
Yeah, he was a 400-meter runner, exactly. He's only his coaches that saw his amazing speed and said, boy, if we could get this brethren running to that speed fast earlier in the race, he's going to be the fastest man, which ultimately is what has happened. Yeah.
Well, training for sprinter was tragic. The first day when I met Bolt, I had no training background. That I just got a call the Monday, and he was like, look, we're going to film you. It was a Saturday. We're going to film you Saturday for sprinter. And then, to be honest, I just went and I ran that day. But if you watch the film, leading up from the start to the finish, you see where I get older, I get bigger. That's because I was training. Because there was a break from the Jamaican. When we finished shooting in Jamaica, I got about 3 or 4 months to train. And I got super big. Yeah, but
love train now.
No, I'm always in the gym. Yeah. But training wise, it was really hard. I had help from Brian. Storm went and he got help, and I got a diet plan. I got one. And Miss Natalie, that her office, Cinicom, that was my resting place before training and after training. So sometimes Rob would come and see me sleeping on the couch. And then he'd be like, do he live here? Does he live here? Because I was always there. But track and field is something that I've been doing ever since. I've been running since I was 5 years old. I have medals, I've run at champs, I've done it all in high school. So for me to just get up and start doing it again, it wasn't hard. The only hard part about it was the takes. The endurance.
Have a body double. But, it's hard to film races. You have to shoot a lot.
Yes. So I did a lot of running.
Yeah. He's still sore now, isn't it?
And the acting, I'm an Instagram comedian, I make videos on Instagram. I do skits. So that's where Storm actually met me. He said he saw one of my videos. I had a photo of me running. So that's when he called me and he talked to me about the film. So it was my first time acting. I got help from Leonie Forbes. That's the famous Jamaican actor. And Storm had me there like every day at a certain time, like about 5 o'clock. Storm would come and run through the lines. And he would say to me, read the lines when you go home. So when we were actually filming it, I just knew what to say. And if I said something and he didn't like how I say it, him come from one side and he's like, look, you tried it your way? No, do it my way. And it worked.
Third World Cup Dancehall Queen, they definitely showed me, okay, it's possible to do this in a certain way. I was heavily influenced by rockers. And I think by the harder they come as well, even though I may not have been as aware of it, like definitely with my first film, Better Mus Come, rockers was like, I kind of studied rockers almost as a documentary, like a capsule at a time. But I honestly feel like I'm excited about the new wave of films and where we're going to go with it. I do think some of those 90s films were also still, patterned off. There's a certain pattern, a certain kind of Hollywood approach to telling a story that I think we have in the past decade or so kind of been changing and breaking out of trying to like make something that fits to that and been more creating some kind of new aesthetic and new approach, So I'm excited about the future in a way is what I'm trying to say, about where it's going.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Round of applause one more time, please.